Dream a little dream of me. Welcome kindreds, it's Jessica the Story Witch, and this is the 31 Days of Tarot Challenge 2018. I'll link Ethne, who started the challenge's blog, down below in the comments, and if you are doing the challenge, then please let me know so that I can watch your videos and I can subscribe to your channel. And I'm going to do prompt 27 and 28 and 29 all together in one batch. So 27 is: share your first professional reading experience, either as a reader or querent or seeker. So I'm going to share about the first time I ever had a tarot reading, which is when I was in university in Cardiff Uni, and I think it must have been about 1997, I think, 98 possibly. And there used to be, and it still is going now, but it's not in the same location anymore. There used to be a mind, body, spirit kind of show called Vision for Living exhibition, and they had it in the university that year while I was there, and I just kind of stumbled across it. I didn't even really know that it was happening, and then I think because I was a student, I could get in perhaps for free or for reduced rate or something, and I was just like, whoa, walking around this great hall full of tables of all these things that I love and things that I was just like so intrigued by. It really was like a massive mind-blowing experience. And also I think just the sheer amount of energy that was in that room, because not trying to be like mean, but quite often sometimes the people who are kind of drawn to these events can have things that they need to kind of release and stuff. So there's a lot of very crazy energy flying around the place, and also like tons of crystals and tons of very tuned in people. So yeah, so it was like I was going in there, just blew my mind. And I had a little walk around. Now I was a student, I didn't have very much money, so there were loads of things I would have loved to have bought that I couldn't buy. But as I was walking around the stalls, there were about 5 or 6 different people offering readings. And I'd never had a reading before, but I was really intrigued, and I've always been fascinated by tarot ever since I first heard about it. So it's something that I wanted, but I was also like, I wasn't sure how to go about doing it. So now there were just these people there in this fair offering this, and I walked around, and they had like these lists out on the tables, you know, like they do in shows, and it's with all the time slots, and people had signed up for certain time slots and things like that. And it was quite early on the day that I was there. I think about sort of 10 o'clock, and I think it only opened about that time. So I was there, but already some of the people's lists were already like chock-a-block, you know, full. And there was 2 people, there was a guy and a girl and a woman who still had a couple of slots available. And this one woman, I can't even remember her name, which is awful, but there was just something about her. I just thought, yes, I want you to read for me. So, and she had a slot left, so I popped my name down, and I think it was like £15 or something, which was like a lot of money for me then. And I was super excited, you know. I was just like wandering around the rest of the show then for a while. There were some workshops and stuff while I was waiting for my slot to be the time for me to go and do it. And so then at my time, I made my way over to the table. And it's a bit weird in a show, obviously, because you're like sort of sitting there and there's people milling around and stuff like that. But it just felt like as soon as she started talking to me, it just felt like all of that just blended into the background somehow, and it was just me and her. And she spoke, you know, she was just like a normal person, like as we are as tarot readers, we're just normal people. But there was kind of gravitas about when she was speaking that I just really connected with. And she wasn't particularly old, she was probably only in her 40s or something, but I felt really connected with her. And she started laying out cards. I've got no idea what the cards were, I can't remember. It all kind of like just blended into one kind of thing in this whole kind of experience. But some of the things that she said have really stuck with me even now. So she said that and that I'm also very intuitive, and that I should be reading cards, and that is something that I need to be doing. And I knew that already, you know, I was already working a little bit with kind of healing, and I've always dabbled in witchcrafty things from as long as I can remember. So I was already doing that. I wasn't using cards though, and she said that I should be using cards. So that was something that I remember. And she also said that for quite a long part of my life, I would be going around, I would be gathering, and I'd just be gathering little bits of information, little skills, and I'd be like picking from here and here and here and here and here. And then almost without me intending it, those things that I've gathered, those threads, are going to kind of pull together and become my purpose. They're going to become what it is that I'm supposed to be here to do. And it's really funny thinking about it now, and really cool, because about 5 years ago, I think, I had my astrology, my natal chart read. I've read, I'm really into astrology as well, and I have analysed my chart before, but I had somebody to analyse my natal chart, and she said almost exactly the same words as this woman had said to me in the tarot reading so long ago. She was like, it's like a bowl, and that's because my chart is shaped like that, it's like a bowl, but that I will be gathering these things, and then they're all going to be coming together into this this cohesive whole thing, which is what I'm here to do, which I just, you know, it's reassuring, especially when you're kind of like in your late teens, early 20s, and you're feeling a little bit like, well, I certainly did up until, easily into my 30s, before I knew what I'm here to do and what I'm supposed to be doing in the world. So it was really good to hear that it's okay to feel like things aren't connected, and that it was just like a little bit from here, a little bit from here. That's fine. The connections may not be obvious right away, but it is all connected. So yeah, that was my first reading experience. I kind of came out of there, I just went straight out then and home after I'd had the reading. I didn't stay in the fair anymore. My head was already like shoo anyway from all the energy that was going on, and that just like, so I got home and I like journaled it as quickly as I could to try and remember the things she said, but already, you know, things had kind of disappeared from it. But that overall impression has really stayed with me, and that overall gist of what she said has really, really stayed with me, and I'm really grateful to her for that being such a wonderful first experience. Because I have had other readings since then which haven't been so great, and I've had other readings which have been awesome, so it's not always, you know, it's not always that it's good, but it was like the perfect person to lose my tarot virginity to. And I can't remember her name. That's a bit rough, isn't it? Okay, so share one celebrity that you'd refuse to read for. This is number 28. No matter how much they paid you, and why. Well, I've been thinking about this, and I can't think of anyone. Like, I wouldn't read for somebody who was potentially going to use what I told them in any kind of unethical way. So I guess, you know, like if a political leader or something wanted me to read for them, and they were going to choose whether it's like a nuke a country or something, going on what I said, yeah, I wouldn't be up for that. But really, there's not anyone that kind of jumps out at me. If somebody was open to it and they wanted, when I read for people, the most of my clients, people are kind of drawn to me because they want to know about their life path and their purpose, and that is why they've come to me. I don't tend to get people asking me about like you know, their love life so much. Sometimes, but not, you know, it's not generally those kind of like, I don't want to say mundane, because it's all, you know, it's all important. Those things and relationships and things are important, but people don't tend to ask like, oh, is he going to propose, or is, you know, it's more about like their big reasons for being here, and those are the kind of readings that I love to do. So as long as people come to me with that kind of open heart and an open mind, and are kind of willing to receive what is coming through, then I don't think there isn't anyone that I would say no, however much money they offered me. That would be so cool. If somebody did offer you a big bunch of cash though, that would be, I could buy a lot of decks with that. Okay, so 29. What are your beliefs around the mechanics of a reading? How do you think it works? Is it your subconscious, higher self, spirit? And that is by Elaran Avni, because Ethne asked for people to like submit questions, and so she submitted that one, and I think it's a really cool question. It's one that comes up quite a lot, especially when you're reading for people who are new to the whole idea. You know, it's sort of like, well, you know, especially before they've had a reading, they'll be like, well, not so sure about this, and then once you do the reading and they've received insights, and then they're like, so how is this working? You know, where'd you get this information from? My feelings on it are very much that it is not me. It is like, it's reading, it's called reading for a reason, you know, and people are better readers than others actually of things that are in front of them. So like, say if I read something out to somebody from a book, then it is not me that's giving them that information. I'm just like the kind of vehicle for that information. And that is, I can read it well, or I can read it poorly. I can read it in a way that meaning will really resonate for them, or I can read it in a kind of rote robotic way that'll just feel not right to them. But the actual information itself is not coming from me. I am just kind of interpreting. I'm reading it for them, you know. That is actually coming, for me, I feel like it comes from the kind of collective unconscious. So I do believe that there is something more than just consciousness. I believe that we do have a greater consciousness which we can, all things in this world, vibrate with and tap into. I call that source or collective unconscious, and I believe that the wisdom that is coming when we do a reading is coming directly from source. And I think also when we're reading for ourselves, it is our own kind of divine connection with source which is allowing that information to flow through. And it's such a hard one to explain and to talk about, but I've seen it be real and not what I was expecting too many times to be able to say I know it works, and I know that there is something more than just my own conscious mind. Perhaps it could be my unconscious, but then in some ways I wonder how would my unconscious be picking up on people, because I do quite a few like remote readings via the internet and things like that with people that I've never even spoken to face to face. I've only had contact with them via email. So it would be difficult if it was just my unconscious kind of then doing the cards for them. That doesn't make sense to me. So I feel like there must be a kind of greater consciousness which connects me with the person I'm reading with, and which allows that information which is meant for them, that wisdom which they need to hear, to be able to come through. So I hope that makes sense. It is difficult to explain, and I know people think about it a little bit differently, but as long as people are open-minded about it and we can all agree that this is something that is maybe not explained. I do think with lots of these things that in the future, these things that kind of like some sciencey people will sneer at it a little bit and be like, yeah, you can't prove that this actually works, or it's just bollocks, you know. I think there will come a point in the future where these things will be able to be explained via science, but in a way it's kind of like that doesn't matter. So like they'll explain them. It's like with lots of things, like they've discovered with science that human beings respond really well to touch, and that if you've got people who are like critically ill, they'll live longer if they're getting touched or massaged on a regular basis. And it's like, duh, you know, of course. So sometimes like the science is just kind of catching up with what we already intuitively know, and I feel like that's what will happen for quite a few of the like metaphysical things that humans can do that at the moment are inexplicable. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. I haven't like waffled on too much. If you've been answering these prompts in your videos, then please let me know, because I'd love to come and watch and see what you've got to say, and I'll probably be like, oh, I wish I'd also thought about that. I hadn't thought about that one, especially with the cards. I'd love to see what other cards people are going to be designing. But yeah, Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.